power. Everyone wants it. Some chase it through money, fame, or control. But real power isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the ability to stay centered when everything around you is falling apart. See, true power doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself, from taming the chaos that lives inside you. Every one of us faces storms, heartbreaks, betrayals, failures, disappointments, and in those moments, your emotions will try to pull you apart. But if you can control just 3 emotions, you can control almost any situation. You can build strength no one can take from you. Let's talk about them. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions we possess. It burns like fire, wild, unpredictable, and consuming. But just like fire, it can destroy or it can create. It all depends on how you choose to control it. Most people let anger use them. They react, explode, hurt others, and in the process lose themselves. But those who learn to master anger, they don't let it dictate their story. They take that same energy, that same intensity, and turn it into focus, discipline, and power. There's nothing weak about feeling angry. Anger often comes from pain, from being misunderstood, betrayed, or disrespected. It's the heart's natural defense when it feels cornered. But the problem is when anger controls you, it blinds you. It makes you impulsive, irrational, destructive. You start reacting to people instead of responding to situations. You start losing control of your own peace. The real strength lies in staying calm when your mind is begging you to rage. It's easy to fight back, to shout, to break things, but it takes extraordinary control to breathe, to pause, and to redirect that energy towards something that matters. I remember hearing about a story of a man who lost his job unfairly. He had every reason to be furious. Instead of screaming at his boss or sinking into bitterness, he used that anger to fuel his dream. Every morning, he woke up early, trained his mind, built his business, and promised himself that one day he'd create a company that treated people with dignity. Years later, he did exactly that. His anger didn't destroy him. It guided him. That's what it means to turn fire into focus. The truth is, anger is raw energy. It's passion without direction. If you learn to channel it, it becomes unstoppable. Think of athletes who train harder after every loss, or inventors who push boundaries after rejection. They all feel anger, but instead of letting it consume them, they let it drive them forward. Every time you feel rage building up, ask yourself, can I use this? Can I turn this pain into progress? Because anger, when refined through awareness, becomes motivation in its purest form. And it's not just about achieving goals. Controlling anger protects your peace. It saves relationships, careers, and your own mental clarity. You see, when you lash out, you give away your power. You let others control how you feel. But when you stay calm, when you hold your ground without losing your composure, you command respect, not through fear, but through presence. People remember that. They feel it. The quiet confidence of someone who refuses to be moved by chaos. Nelson Mandela once said, resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it kills your enemies. He had every reason to be angry after decades in prison, yet he chose forgiveness, not weakness, but control. That's not something that comes easy. It's built through awareness, through choice, through patience. Every time you resist the urge to explode, you strengthen that inner muscle of discipline. You start realizing that not every battle deserves your fire. Next time someone provokes you or life hits you harder than expected, pause, breathe. Don't rush to act. Feel the heat, but don't let it burn you. Transform it. Let it push you to work harder, train longer, love deeper, and live wiser. Let it remind you of what you stand for and what you refuse to become. Because anger isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you where your boundaries are, what you value, and what needs to change. And when you master it, truly master it, you don't just control your anger, you control your life. Fear, it's something we all know too well. It creeps in when we least expect it, before a big decision, a new beginning, or the moment we're about to step into the unknown. It whispers in your ear, telling you you're not ready, that you'll fail, that it's safer to stay where you are. And for a long time, you believe it. You let fear decide how far you'll go, who you'll become, and what you'll dare to dream. But here's the truth. Fear isn't there to stop you. It's there to challenge you, to ask, how bad do you really want this? Fear is a natural part of being alive. It's wired into us, an ancient survival mechanism meant to keep us safe. But in the modern world, it doesn't just protect us. It often traps us. It keeps us from speaking up, from chasing that dream, from loving fully, from starting over. We think fear is the enemy, but it's not. The real enemy is letting it control your mind, because when fear takes the wheel, it drives you away from everything your soul is trying to reach. The most powerful people you've ever admired, the artists, the leaders, the innovators, they all feel fear. The difference is they don't let it define them. They walk with it. They understand that fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means growth is near. The first time you stand on a stage, your hands shake, your voice trembles. That's fear testing your commitment. The first time you fail and have to try again, that's fear asking if you still believe. The first time you love after heartbreak, that's fear daring you to trust again. There's a story about a young firefighter who once admitted he was terrified every time he entered a burning building. His captain told him, "Good, that fear will keep you alert, but if you let it freeze you, it'll kill you." That's the line we walk every day. Fear can keep you cautious, but it should never keep you captive. The key is to master it, to train your mind to recognize fear not as a warning to retreat, but as an invitation to rise. Neuroscientists have proven that the body reacts to fear and excitement in almost the same way. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your breath quickens. The only difference between terror and thrill is the story you tell yourself. So when fear shows up, don't ask, "What if I fail?" Ask, "What if I fly?" Because once you shift that mindset, everything changes. You start using fear as fuel. You stop avoiding discomfort and start seeking it. Think about it. Every breakthrough in your life came right after you faced something that scared you. The first time you stood up for yourself, the first time you took a risk that could have gone either way, the first time you believed in something no one else saw. That's where strength is built. Not in the moments of comfort, but in the moments of fear. When you run from fear, it grows. When you face it, it shrinks. That's the secret. Fear feeds on avoidance. The more you hide from it, the more power it gains. But when you stare it down, when you take that step forward despite the trembling, you reclaim your mind. You take back your power. You can't eliminate fear. No one can. But you can master it. You can learn to breathe through it, to walk with it, to let it remind you that you're alive and growing. Every time you do something that scares you, speak your truth, take a risk, chase that dream, you teach your mind that you are stronger than your fear. And one day you'll look back and realize that the things you once thought would break you were the very things that built you. Doubt is the quiet voice that follows you everywhere. It shows up when you're standing on the edge of something new, something uncertain. It whispers that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready yet. It makes you second guess your choices, your dreams, even your worth. And the worst part is, it sounds like your own voice. Doubt is sneaky. It doesn't shout or scream. It plants tiny seeds in your mind and waits for you to believe them. And when you do, it wins. It holds you back, keeps you small, and convinces you that playing safe is the right thing to do. But here's the truth. Doubt will always exist. No matter how successful, experienced, or talented you become, it never completely disappears. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't that one feels confident and the other doesn't. It's that one learns to act even when doubt is loud. The ones who truly grow are the ones who choose to believe before anyone else does, especially before the world does. Think about it. Every dream that ever became real started with someone who had no proof it would work. Every inventor, artist, leader, or creator started in the same place with uncertainty. When Thomas Edison was trying to invent the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times. People mocked him, called him crazy, told him to give up, but he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work." That's belief. That's refusing to let doubt be the final voice. Most of us wait for the world to validate us before we take a step. We wait for someone to say, "You're good enough." But that's not how belief works. You have to believe first. You have to see the vision when no one else does. Because if you can't back yourself, how can anyone else? Confidence doesn't come from success. It's built in the moments you keep moving even when you're unsure. There's a story about an actor who spent years auditioning and being rejected. Every door closed, every no hurt. But he kept going. He said he believed something deep down, that he was meant for more, even if the world didn't see it yet. Years later, when success finally came, he said the hardest part wasn't the struggle. It was not letting the doubt in during the silence. That's what makes or breaks you. The quiet moments when no one's watching, when no one's cheering you on, and you still keep going. Self-doubt is part of being human. It protects you from arrogance and reminds you that you're still learning. But when it starts to control you, it steals opportunities that could have changed your life. Every time you talk yourself out of trying because you're afraid of failing, you give doubt power it doesn't deserve. The truth is, failure doesn't hurt half as much as regret. Regret is permanent. Failure is temporary. You can recover from falling, but you can't recover from never trying. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you'll always win. It means you trust that no matter what happens, you'll learn, adapt, and grow. You'll figure it out. That kind of belief makes you unstoppable because it's rooted not in perfection, but in persistence. You stop asking, what if I can't? And start saying, what if I can? You start realizing that the only real limits are the ones you accept. So when doubt starts to speak, and it will, don't try to silence it. Just don't obey it. Let it remind you that what you're doing matters enough to scare you. Let it fuel you, not stop you. Every great journey begins with uncertainty. Every leap requires courage. Believe first, act with faith, and one day the world will catch up to the vision you saw before anyone else could. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will support your choices, your dreams, or the way you live your life. And the sooner you stop needing their approval, the freer you become. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek validation from parents, teachers, friends, society. We learn to measure our worth by how others react to us. Did they like it? Did they agree? Did they clap? But living like that is a prison with invisible bars. You spend your life trying to please everyone and end up pleasing no one, not even yourself. The need for approval is one of the most subtle traps of the human mind. It disguises itself as connection, but what it really creates is dependence. You start to crave recognition the way others crave comfort. You start to shape your identity around what others think you should be instead of who you truly are. And when you do that long enough, you lose the most important voice in your life, your own. You stop trusting your instincts. You start dimming your light to make others comfortable. And every time you do that, you drift further from your truth. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be liked. It's human nature. But when your happiness depends on it, you've given away your power. You've handed the keys to your self-worth to people who might not even know who they are. You start chasing approval like a shadow, always close, but never close enough to catch. The truth is, people's opinions of you are often reflections of themselves, not of you. Their fears, their insecurities, their limitations, they project all of it onto you. So when they doubt you, when they criticize or misunderstand you, it's not always about your path. It's about their own. Every person who's ever done something meaningful has been misunderstood. Every dreamer who's ever built something from nothing has faced judgment. When you start walking your own path, some people will call you arrogant, others will call you lost. But what they're really saying is, you're not doing what I would do. And that's okay, because your journey isn't supposed to make sense to everyone. It's supposed to make sense to you. The ones who dare to live authentically often walk alone for a while. But that solitude is not punishment. It's space to grow, to build, to find your real voice. There's a story about a painter who spent years creating art no one wanted. Critics dismissed his work as strange, unmarketable, too emotional. He kept going anyway. He painted what he felt, not what they wanted. After his death, his art changed the world. His name was Vincent van Gogh. The same man people laughed at became the symbol of artistic genius. He didn't get approval in his time, but he stayed true to what was real for him. That's courage. That's freedom. The moment you stop needing others to understand you, you reclaim yourself. You start living from the inside out instead of the outside in. You stop chasing applause and start chasing alignment. You stop performing and start being. And it's in that space, when you're no longer trying to convince anyone, that real peace begins to grow. Some people will never see your vision until it's finished. Some will only believe in you once the world does. Let them. Your job isn't to prove your worth. It's to live it. Keep walking your path even when it's quiet. Keep doing the work even when no one's watching. You don't need approval to be extraordinary. You just need conviction. And once you have that, no one's misunderstanding can touch the truth of who you are. We live in a world that rewards speed. Everything pushes us to react, to answer instantly, to respond immediately, to decide without thinking. Notifications, messages, demands. It's a constant noise pulling us in every direction. But real power doesn't come from reacting fast. It comes from knowing when to pause. Stillness has become rare, almost forgotten, yet it's where wisdom lives. The ability to control your impulse, that split second between what you feel and what you do, that's where your strength is tested. We've all been there. Someone says something that cuts deep, and your first instinct is to fire back. A situation goes wrong, and you want to fix it right away, even if it means making it worse. In those moments, the urge to act feels like pressure under your skin, like you'll explode if you don't. But that's exactly where the power of stillness lies. The space between impulse and action is where clarity is born. When you learn to pause, even for a breath, you give yourself something priceless: choice. You're no longer a prisoner to your emotions, you become their master. Impulse is often the voice of your ego, not your truth. It wants instant relief, to be right, to be seen, to win. But what it rarely gives is peace. Every time you act without thinking, you trade long-term calm for short-term satisfaction. You might get to prove your point, but you lose your balance. You might get revenge, but you lose your peace. You might win an argument, but you lose connection. Stillness, on the other hand, feels like surrender at first, until you realize it's control in its purest form. There's an old story about a samurai who was insulted by a man in the street. The warrior could have drawn his sword in a heartbeat, ended the insult with one strike, but he didn't. He simply looked at the man, bowed slightly, and walked away. His apprentice asked why he spared him. The samurai said, "If I kill him in anger, I become his equal. If I walk away, I remain his master." That's what control looks like. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about rising above it. Think about the greatest decisions of your life, the ones that truly mattered. They didn't come from panic or impulse. They came from quiet reflection, from moments when you allowed yourself to stop, to breathe, to feel everything before moving. That's what stillness does. It gives you access to your higher self, the part of you that isn't ruled by fear or pride. It allows wisdom to speak louder than emotion. Science backs it up too. When you pause and breathe deeply, your brain shifts from the amygdala, the part that triggers impulsive reactions, to the prefrontal cortex, the center of reason and judgment. In that brief stillness, you literally rewire your brain to respond, not react. You train your mind to stay calm under pressure, to make choices that build your future instead of breaking your present. It takes discipline to pause when every instinct tells you to move. It takes humility to stay silent when you're dying to speak. It takes patience to wait when everything inside you screams to act. But that's where true mastery begins. The more you practice stillness, the more you realize that not every fight deserves your energy, not every problem needs an immediate fix, and not every emotion requires a reaction. The world will test you, people will push your buttons, life will throw chaos your way, and your emotions will flare up. But if you can learn to hold still in the storm, just breathe, just observe, you'll discover a calm so deep it can't be taken from you. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what's necessary at the right time with a clear heart and a quiet mind. That's real control. That's real power. Power isn't about conquering others. It's about conquering yourself. If you can control your anger, fear, doubt, need for approval, and impulse, no one can take your peace, your purpose, or your direction. Because the strongest person in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove it.